today is, at least I find it quite interesting, because on Tuesday I ordered some stuff online from Brew Shop in Trondheim, which arrived on Thursday. So that was really quick service, which I found really great. And I've been to my local brew shop today to pick up the final bits of that, and I can see now that my bitter is cold crashing down to 6 degrees. So I've just checked that everything's in order there, everything's looking really good. That's going down in temperature. Leave that for a day or so. That can sit quite nicely. It's got 0.8 degrees to go to hit that kind of 6 degree final point, where I think everything will just clear out really nice, compact sediments, end up really good. But as I said, I did order some bits for the brew house. When brewing with all grain, I mean, I've got a lot of grains, so one of the things I've been wishing I had was a little shovel to measure up the malt before I grind it. So that's finally in the house, which is great. I kind of by accident bought a 2 micron diffusion stone, which works, but I'd like finer bubbles, shorter time, more control. 0.5 micron, really fine bubbles when I'm oxygenating me wort. The third item that I got is a project, and that's basically a bazooka filter. I'm not massively impressed with the Grainfather filter. It comes off easy. It's kind of just sticking out there, so I find it to be out of the way, kind of a bit in the way when I'm doing stuff. And I want it to go round the edge of the kettle. This is a 30 centimeter bazooka filter, and I think that'll also help the flow and also reduce to some extent the risk of clogging. So we're going to try that one out. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And there's one item here that I've really been looking forward to on the fermentation side. When you cold crash, the pressure drops, as we all know. And what I'm really looking forward to, and this is a tip from Espen at Øltid, was basically a through and through bowl lock. So I'm going to drill a hole in 2 of my fermenters, one in the SS Brewtech and one in my Speidel plastic fermenter, so that I can add a bowl lock and some CO2. And that's up for this weekend. Hopefully I'm going to be able to rack the bitter onto keg basically, and leave it there for a few days at about 6 degrees. Maybe I'll take it to the 4 degree fridge. I'll probably want to do that before taking it out and putting it through a filter routine, which is going to be quite interesting. The last item that I got was a hop spider, which isn't really too exciting, but I think that'll help me process. It's fairly big. There's quite a lot of space for hops in there, and I actually didn't realise, but this has, what I've been using to date is a lot smaller. So you can see there's a fairly big size difference, where I saw that this cylinder is kind of maxing out a bit at 100 grams in terms of the flow of it all. Some of my New England IPAs are a lot more than 100 grams in the dry hop, and I've also been experimenting now with keg hopping, which is going to be more and more what we want to do. I see I really get to keep the aromas, more control. Tried it on a fruit beer. That was kind of a bit too much fruit, but it showed that the process at least was fairly accurate. Went to the local brew shop today, which also always is fun. So I got a big bag of hops, 2 smaller bags of hops, planning a West Coast. Got a bit of tubing, never have too much tubing, and a SodaStream CO2 bottle and a ball lock. And I wasn't sure if I had this type of ball lock because it's one with a nipple on it, rather than the ones that I normally use, which are screw on. But for this operation, you really need this type, so that will go on there. So I can fit that straight away because that just slid in quite nicely. This will predominantly not have a lot of pressure on it. I may put a clamp on there just for good measure. And what I'll probably do is I'll also measure the lengths, because I don't need an awful lot, and I want some bits off this so that I can correlate that with some of my other processes that I'm doing. Ideally I want this to be about half length or a bit more than that, so I could have that much, because the regulator on this, and we're getting to this part now, when I want to use the SodaStream, it's got a regulator with a John Guest on it. So what I'd ideally want is a two-way sort of thing that I can, well, actually that doesn't really matter, I just want to get the lengths right, more or less. But for this particular beer, we're good. That's basically where it needs to go. This is always interesting, and it's one of the few items that I had to go to my local brew shop to get, because shipping gas is dodgy business, and particularly when they're obviously sending it this quickly. There's a race car or something involved. So let's see if we can open this. There we go. And that's what it looks like. Now the benefit of that is that gas bottle will actually stand up, which I think is probably a good move. And I've also been quite interested to see if this actually, how it fits. You can get so excited over stuff like that. Now, if I so CO2. Now what happens if I, oh, you can turn it on and off. Now that is epic. That makes me really happy. That will save quite a lot of gas, and it will also function as my backup system. So that's why I really want to start kind of getting a measure on this. I don't probably need a lot, and the same when it goes on the fermenter, I'll cut it to size. There you go, and I've got a little spare. So now I can, this isn't very flexible, this plastic tubing, but this should now, in theory, go in there, go on there, and that'll now sit quite nicely exactly where it needs to go. I can put that, and that's actually quite a neat setup. I'm also going to test this now for where I want to place this, and this is going to be epic. This will just sit there with a manometer, And now I've suddenly got every option in the world to ensure that I have quality beer. At least that's the theory, people. I love that this was detachable. Just gives a little bit of a yank. And everything is detachable, so it's quite easy to store in the brew house. Which also has me. There you go. And there you have it. That's just absolutely epic. Have a look at the beer. That's looking absolutely fantastic. That'll just about be a keg, I reckon. So yeah, 6.1 degrees on the till. Slight offset versus the Inkbird. I'm really pleased one of these came with a set. I was not aware of that. So I mean, that's a huge win in my book. And that's the unboxing ceremony for today. Lots of boxes that I need to throw out. And yeah, I'm really happy with this. It all went well. What I wanted to check with this tubing is my existing system, right? So that is kind of with a lock and this, that and the other, in case I need a reserve plan for whatever reason. I'm using the normal silicone tubing, and I can tell that just goes brilliantly in there, so I could actually attach that to the blow off valve. Now if I need a backup plan of any sorts, I've got a little bit of tubing to do that. And it's also really good because I could, if I needed to extend anything here, I could just put one in, add the other and get a longer length. So all in all, I think that's really good. And by and large, I'm super pleased with how that is ending up. And that's really about it. I don't want to make these videos too long, mind you. And when I draw something off, it has its own ability to kind of just get drawn back in. So I'll close that all up. That's pretty much going to go where it's going to go. I can lock that off. No more air in there. Had a CO2 recovery system in there. So yeah, good stuff. Happy Friday. Have a beer. It's that time. Get it done. And see you later.